Thanks everybody for joining. Today I'm gonna show and present a few of the best and most easy practices to ensure a good accessibility for the front end part of any software or application. Let me just start with this presentation just to know a little bit about what we're gonna see, and then I'm gonna try to show some live codes and examples of the benefits of following the best practices or guidelines. Unfortunately, we don't have too much time, but yes, I think we will do all right. So my name is Javier Smith Paterson. I'm originally from Panama. I've been living in Europe for 4 years now and had the opportunity to work for big institutions like the European Parliament, and now I'm working for the European Patent Office as the accessibility lead and senior front-end developer, mostly on React and JavaScript applications. Okay. Do you guys see full screen the presentation? Okay. 1 second. Maybe if I share. Okay, perfect. Is it full screen now? No? Okay, then I'll just share my screen. 1 second. Okay, I think this should work. Okay, let's start. So an introduction to digital accessibility. So web accessibility is the practice to inclusive practice of ensuring that there are no barriers that prevent interactions with or access to websites on the World Wide Web by people with physical disabilities, situational disabilities, and socioeconomic restrictions by bandwidth or speed. So when sites are correctly designed, developed, and edited, generally all users have equal access to information and functionality. Why is accessibility very important for front end? Exactly for the same reason. When websites and web tools are properly designed, people with disabilities can use them. However, currently many sites and tools are developed with a lot of accessibility barriers, and it's making it difficult for people with disabilities to go and access these websites. Making the web accessible benefits individuals, businesses, and society. International web standards define what is needed for accessibility. So on web accessibility, we try to aim or address so people with visual disabilities, including low vision, poor eyesight, or any type of various type of color blindness, motor mobility, difficulty or inability to use the hands, for example, Parkinson's disease, auditory disabilities, seizures, and cognitive and intellectual disabilities. So basically what we're gonna show right now by the front end part is we're gonna go for the most basic, wait 1 second. So we're gonna try to, on the front end, the most important to ensure on the front end is to have a good layout. So in HTML5, there were introduced new elements that it's the landmarks, and these are the most important for accessibility matters for the users to be able to navigate in the websites using assistive technology. So yes, let's keep going. The other recommendation and errors that I see a lot on most codes and front end parts are not using the correct orders for the headings. So the headings, mostly there should be only one H1 per page, and then the H2, H3, and so on should be used in order. For example, we can see in this example that there is an H2, and then there is an H5 inside the H2, and then there is an H6 down here, which is a very bad practice, but this is very common because sometimes we are using libraries or Bootstrap or things like this that we need to use the correct size. So we use the H6, for example, because we want that size, but actually we are breaking the semantic of the HTML, and it's making more difficult for users to use the interface. The next one, for example, this is another example of HTML5 elements, which they are very important. For example, this is a div, and it's just click here, but on the HTML5 elements introduce the button element. And so it's the same, but I'll show you in the next example why the difference. So on the div, to make it correct for a correct accessibility, taking in consideration, for example, keyboard navigation, you will have to add the tab index on the div, and then you will have to add a JavaScript to make the enter or the return key available, so you can actually simulate a real button. But on HTML5, now we have the button element, which it makes a lot of things easier and more accessible. And yes, now, so this is what we're gonna see in the next examples. We're gonna try to see a combinations of semantic and elements and other attributes that can help everything to be more accessible. Another example is to use the correct elements on text content. Specifically for screen readers, this is an example of a good text semantic, using the correct elements, the P to display the different kind of information, and then the on order list, and then you have a subheading that is the heading number 2 to display more information that it can be repeated. So you have another H2 down here with another paragraph, just to show the information correctly. But as you can see, there is only H1, that is the main heading, and so on. And now this is a bad practice. That is, yes, just using a font size to show the heading, and then BR just to break the line, etc., etc., etc. I will try to answer the questions at the end. So I will try to, yes, just take a look here to not forget. So now we're gonna also show a little bit of the ARIA tags. ARIA means accessible rich internet applications. That is a set of attributes that you can add to your elements to display or let the application know some events or just descriptions, which help the people using assistive technology to have a better understanding of what's happening on the application, especially for blind or visually disabled users. So, for example, this is an example of the ARIA tag, but this is more advanced because there are many ARIA tags that you can use to display many type of different information. But in the next examples, we're going to use the most basic ones to ensure a nice accessibility for an application. So, for example, this is a percentage bar, and you can use the ARIA tags to display to the user what's actually happening on the percentage loading. So you can show what is the value right now of the loading, that is 75, and what is the minimum and what is the max. So this type of tags help the users using assistive technology. The ARIA tags are not visible by the browser. They are not visible. They are only visible by assistive technology. So let's take a look at an example of semantic. Another example is to use sections to divide your application by sections and label the sections so the user can actually travel between sections and have information about the section. So in this case, we have a form that is a search form, but I'm putting the form and description inside a section with a label by and a describe by, just to have more information about the section. I will show more examples in live code in just a few minutes. Another recommendation for the images is that the images must always have an alt attribute to show more information. For example, visually disabled persons cannot see images, so it's very good to have a description of the photo in the alt tag, alternative text, to present more information to the users about the image. But sometimes we are using images just for decoration, maybe some icons, etc. So in this case, we can have two techniques. We can use the role for presentation, that it will hide the image to the assistive technology to not be read in this case, so it will be a presentation role, or the ARIA hidden. The ARIA hidden tag hides everything for the assistive technology API. So the ARIA API, so this will be hidden. This element will be completely hidden to the assistive technology, but it will still be showing the browser. And in this case, for example, if it's very obvious that you have an image and then a description of the image, these are the type of cases where you can take the decision yourself to understand that it's going to be read the right way. So in these type of cases, you can avoid not using any kind of description, because you don't want to be repetitive at the same time. If you have a description in the alternative text and then in the paragraph, you are going to be repetitive, which is not what you want. Okay, and before the live coding, let's go to a visually hidden CSS class. This is also very important. For example, sometimes we don't want to use the ARIA label tags. We actually want to avoid using the ARIA label most of the time. So in some cases, you want to have information not visually in the browser, but described by the screen reader. So you want to use this type of techniques to hide some text or information from the visual of the browser, but you actually want these elements to be read or described by the screen readers, for example. So let's go to live coding. Let's go to live coding so you can take a look at what we're actually doing and how is it working. Okay. Let's take a look at the code. Let me know if you can see the code good, or if I need to zoom. Perfect. Okay. So this is my website, and I'm gonna make some examples in this website. I already had some components to show some of the features here. So for example, first let's start with the keyboard navigation. Yes, I can. Is this better? Okay. Okay, so first let's start with the keyboard navigation. First, I'm gonna show you a correct example of accessibility on keyboard navigation and maybe some screen readers as well. So I'm gonna do everything right now by keyboard navigation. So as soon as I enter this website and I'm just gonna use the keyboard, I will go by tab. So when I press the tab, I have this element that is focused, that is the skip to main element link. So once I click this link, I skip the header and I go directly to the main content. And from here, if I'm interested, the next tab is the contact us, which is gonna take me all the way to the contact form this contact form is an example that I'm going to show you. I'm not using this contact form on the real website, but I will show you for the form, some things on the forms. So anyways, it takes me directly to the contact form, and I already can, let's do it again. I can do the skip to main, contact us, and I'm already ready to click on the email, ready to click on the telephone, ready to click on the social media icons, etc. Then I can go back all the way to the top, only using the keyboard. So this helps the user to navigate easily, and especially people that are using assistive technology. And let's try to also do now the screen reader. Now I'm gonna ask you for a little bit of patience, because the screen reader is gonna dictate what is on the website. Sometimes it's a little bit annoying, but let's go. This is how visually disabled persons go through the website. Let me put this here. And let's put the screen reader.
VoiceOver on Chrome. JSPMultimedia.com. Software infrastructures. Front-end. Artist and brand development. Google Chrome. Window. Has keyboard focus. Chrome busy. Busy. Chrome busy.
Chrome busy. One moment. Let me start the screen reader again.
VoiceOver on Chrome. JSPMultimedia.com. Software infrastructures. Front-end.
So now we have
link. Banner. The home. You are currently on a link. To click this link, press Control Option space. Visited link image. Logo of JSPMultimedia.com. Main. List 5 items. Main. Navigation. You are list 5 items. You are currently in a list. Visited link. Home. Visited link. Services. You are currently on a link. To click this link, visited link. Clients. 3 of 5. Visited link. End of list. End of main. Navigation. You are currently on end of banner. Main. You are currently in a main. Featured content. Region. You are currently in a region. Heading level 1 3 items. Inclusive digital experience. You are currently on a heading level 1.
Okay, yes, I think it's a little bit annoying. Maybe it's because I'm sharing the screen or something that is a little bit slow, but I think maybe you guys saw what I mean, that the sections are being displayed. It's saying feature, content, main, navigation, visit link to home, JSP multimedia logo. So it's basically saying everything and what's happening on the screen and where is it going. And also it's keeping the icons. For example, this image is not being read as an image. Let's go to the code to see some of the things that I did here. So this is on React, but one of the things that I have is a layout component where I have the layout. So here I have my header, that is a component. I have a footer, and then I have the main, that is the landmarks, right? So here we are taking the landmarks, and it's following the layout. I will show you. So here I'm passing the children and I'm following the main. So every component that I create is gonna follow this structure. So now if I go to the code and I show you the layout, let's see the layout here. We can see that we have the body, we have header, we have main, and then we have the footer, right? So it's very easy for assistive technology to travel between the website. And inside the main, we have sections. And then we have sections. That these are the different sections. I have the section of the feature content, the section of the front-end development. So I'm adding some labels for the user to know where it is. Then I have a section. In this section, for example, let me go in a zoom so you guys can see a little bit better. So in this section, because I'm not showing any title, I'm just adding the label by myself. But for example, in the section of clients, I already have a heading, an H2 number. So I have our clients. So I don't need to have a label in this element specifically because I'm already defining a name for it inside the element. So this is a way to present the layout in a nice way, and so you can have your application in a structural way, and it's easy to see what's happening. The other thing that I'm showing in this application right now is the skip to main. For example, if I'm using only keyboard and I want to go all the way to the contact form, I will have to tap, and go tapping all the way down, right? So we want to have information for the user to navigate besides the navigation, because maybe the user refreshed the website or is on another or some event happening, and they don't want to go tap between the logo and the navigation again. We want to give them some fast navigation. So the skip to main, for example, it takes me directly to the main as I showed before, but I have a different one here that I have the contact form, yes. So from here, I'm already in the contact form and I'm already starting to type, right, on the contact form. So this is very nice keyboard navigation for users. And so let's take a look at that. So inside the layout also, I have this component that is skip to main, but it's just some links. So I have a link to the main and I have a link to the contact form ID. And then I'm just using the CSS classes techniques that I show you. For example, let's see, global. I have my visually hidden class where I hide the elements, and then the skip to link. I'm hiding the skip to link, but on the focus, I display the element again. So it's only showing when the user is actually on the tab. So you see, if I'm not tabbing, it's not there. As soon as I hit the tab, I have the opportunity to travel between the application as however I want. And yes, another example, if I'm here typing my name, and for some reason I go all the way to the top, I don't want to go tap again to start again to the contact form. So that's why I add this link that takes me to the button super fast. Okay, and yes, so let's take another look at another example. Let's take a look at the banner. So my banner, that is just this banner, the same thing as I'm wrapping everything inside a section, and I'm just using the ARIA labels to give a name to the section so the user knows that this is my feature content, this is my feature service. And it gives me, yeah, it just gives more information to the users besides the layout. And let's go to the contact form. I want to show you something in this contact form that also is very important to understand. And I would like to do it with the screen reader. Let me try to do it one more time. Let me try to do the screen reader one more time.
VoiceOver on. To enable screen reader. To enable screen reader support, press plus option plus. Visited link.
Well,
Skip.
Not a good
Skip
idea.
to main contact form. Copyright. Copyright signed.
Okay, let me go and show you the contact form directly on the code because the screen reader is not helping me right now. Okay, so on the contact form, we want to use the label all the time for every input. We want to have a label and we want to give the attribute of for and link that to the ID. So because sometimes some users are using voice commands and they actually travel or navigate the website with their voice. And so we need to give label to all input elements and link the input to the label. So in this case, we have the name label, and so we add the for attribute, and then in the input, I link to the ID. So I'm following the same example for the email. I have the label, the email label, the for, and then I have the input. So let's say that in this case, you don't want to show the label because you already have the placeholder, enter your name. So in this case, you can use the class, for example. You can use the ARIA hidden, or you can use the visually hidden too. In this case, will be class name, visually hidden. So like that. Let's wait that it reloads. Maybe if I turn off. I'm gonna turn off my camera just to see if this is part of the problem. Okay, so yes, let's keep going with the example. So for example, maybe you don't want to show the labels because you have the placeholders. So you can use the visually hidden class and yeah, just hide the information that you want to hide. The same, we can do it in the label, in the email. Okay. And another thing is also the checkboxes. So in the checkboxes, this is also read by the screen reader. So it's important to sometimes in the JavaScript frameworks, we need to add manually the check and uncheck attribute to make sure that the screen readers are getting this. Okay, so for example, and this is another example, the navigation. So my main navigation, I'm using the nav element, and I'm having an ARIA label in this element as a main. So the screen reader, you don't need to say main navigation, for example, because the element is already navigation. So these are the good things about HTML5, that the element already have a lot of information, and then you can just label them with very specific information. And if you need to add another navigation in your website for any other reason, yeah, you can just use another label and just have a different navigation with a different label. For example, secondary navigation, right? So these are the tricks that you can have in different kind of navigations. To add different type of navigation in the website, you can do all this and just use the labels. And now let me show you a normal case. Let me go and check the branch to no accessibility. I'm gonna change branches to a no accessibility branch. Something that I want to show you too before I go to the example. Let me show you on the website here. So another very important attribute from ARIA are the ARIA controls, because sometimes we want to click on an element to show or hide different elements. So we want to have this ARIA tag as the so you're gonna set the button that controls the element that is displayed must have the control, and then you need to have some ID on the element that it shows. For example, this is my element that controls my accordion, and when I click on this element, it opens my navigation. So that's why here I have this ARIA control, and then on this navigation, I should have this ID. So now my accordion knows that when I'm clicking on this element, is this element that is actually being displayed. So the event is being also described by the application. So now this is a branch where I have no accessibility on the application. So when we have no accessibility, it's more difficult to go into the website, and there's no keyword navigation, so it's difficult for the user to travel between the website. There is no description of elements, so these are just lists of links instead of a navigation, so it's not specific by the application. I'm still using a lot of buttons and elements that, yeah, it's easier navigation, but still, when we do not add the elements and the correct structure, yeah, it's gonna be more difficult for disabled. Okay, so now I'm gonna go and answer some questions, because maybe I cannot keep showing because of the screen reader not being fast enough. But yes, so let's go and answer some questions. Let me see if there's something else. Yes, the video will be recorded and shared. I will be working with the Hackages. I think Hackages will be featuring the course. on their website. Okay, 1 second. Okay, another tool that I want to show you also is a Chrome extension. That is the Axe Chrome tool. This is a tool on the Chrome developer tools that give you some reports for accessibility. One of the things about accessibility is that there are many tools and many reports and many guidelines and many tags to improve the accessibility of the application. But what I'm trying to explain in this webinar is that the less hacks you use is better for accessibility. So it's better to wrap your information in the correct tags and display the information the best you can. And sometimes you need to hide because it might conflict with your design. You will need to hide some information from the visual, but you need to have the common sense of adding this information, and you need to be always thinking about persons that maybe are not visually blessed. So when we try to think like this, the front end changed a little bit. Instead of focusing on positioning and colors, it's more important to focus on the structure and making actually the document smart, so technology can connect to the document and get the information that they want as fast as they can when they need it. And some people, as I mentioned, some people do not use the keyboard, some people do not use the mouse because they do not have these things. They have these disabilities, and they still use the softwares and the websites with different technology. And what the minimum that we can do as front-end developers is to just have a correct semantic and try to have the most descriptive way the elements, and hide elements that are maybe just decorations, so the people can actually find the information fast and navigate through the website fast enough. This is the Axe tools. So of course it's always good to use tools to know what might be missing and things like this, but it's better if you use the common sense, because the reports might tell you, hey, this element needs an ARIA tag, or this element should have a label, but always try to focus that the tag or the label is giving the right information, so the user knows exactly what's happening. Also the events, when the user clicks on the event, explain the user what has changed. So in React and in JavaScript we use this a lot. So for example, if I have a select all box, when I click on the box, I change the label to all elements has been selected. And then if they untick the checkbox, then I change the label to please click to select all elements. So all this type of interaction, they need to be described and changed on the HTML and display the information in the right way. Okay. Let's see. Okay, first question I have is, which is recommended? Label for ID. Yeah, it's recommended. It's better to have it separate. The first one, to have the label and then the input. You should not have the label as a children, the input as a children of the label. It's better to have it separate. What you can do is to have the label and the input, on, let me show an example. For example, semantic. Yes, it's better to have maybe a wrapper inside for the input and for the label. Okay, semantic. So for example, in this case, I have the label and the input. So it's better to have it this way. It's not recommended. It's not good practice to have the label inside the input inside as a children. So like this case, it's not good practice. I hope that answered your question. Access keys, yeah, it is, but this is it. You want to have access keys in case that you want to have a specific behavior for your needs. Maybe you have a game. So if you have a game and you want to use certain arrows or certain things for specific things, then you can do this. And actually you can have maybe an explanation to your users how to use the keyboard to interact with the application. But what I was mentioning at the beginning, it's better to have to use the elements and let the default behavior use the default behavior is better. But if you're increasing something or you're using something very specific, yes, you can define always your key and do any behavior. Like in this example, I have some keys to use the return key for a specific scenario. The repository link for the jspmultimedia.com, I cannot, but I can give you some examples for accessibility, and I can share some codings. Yes, softwares for testing. Well, the best is yourself. I already showed the ads tool. It's a very good tool. It gives you reports directly here in the Chrome tool. You can go to the ads one is installed, and then you go to the ads dev tools, and it's gonna give you, so you can scan different part of the website, and once you scan, you're gonna get the most issues. I have some issues because of my carousel, but yes, you can get the issues here and you can find directly what's going on. So you can, let's see again. So yeah, you can just check the errors here and check what elements are having troubles and fix them. And okay, also for the screen readers, let me show here one more time. You can get the scan, and then you can see what's going on here. Well, most of the time it shows you more information about the error, but yes, something is not good right now. The other thing is that in the Mac you have the command F5. So if you click command F5 on the Mac, it will give you the voice over. But as you can see, it doesn't work that good when you're sharing screen or something. And on Windows, there's others tools. There is the Chromebox and narrator for Windows. So you can also go and check those tools, narrator and Chromebox, that are the same thing as the voiceover. They read that some elements, they interpret the elements in a different way, and this is why I recommend to use the less amount of hats and try to use the best semantic possible, and just try to have the correct structure possible, and hide and try to add as much description possible, and hide it if you need, if it's conflicting with your design. But yes, just put it together with your elements, so the users really know what's happening in the back. I'm really sorry that I could not show the voiceover as I wanted to, because I wanted to show it how does it work without the additions of the ARIA tags. Basically, it just goes like image, link, home, services, and then inclusive digital experience, image, and so you don't really know where you are. But yeah, next time we will have a better presentation for the live examples with the live coding. Any more questions? Yes, I actually have many videos on YouTube, but yeah, indeed. Yes, let me share with you. YouTube. Yes, multimedia.com. Yes, it should be blended. Accessibility also, another thing about accessibility is that a big part of accessibility comes from the design. So also there's font size that needs to be checked, color contrast that needs to be checked. So for example, you need to make sure that the background of these buttons have enough contrast with the background. So for example, in my website like this, maybe this hover effect is not contrast enough. So these are the little things that also the design needs to take in consideration. Some text cannot be too small, and some animations, too big animations, they can cause people to have seizures and attacks. So yes, these are the little things that it's better to follow the best practices of simplicity and making everything in structures to show the information. This is you can find me as JSP Multimedia. Let me share the link. Yes, I saw the hooks from Adobe of accessibility. They look very promising, and with these hooks, you can actually create a nice architecture. So your application can have already a guidelines, and the components can have already a structure. So your new programmers and new developers, they will not be able to skip accessibility because they already have a structure to follow. But you can actually make these hooks yourself. You don't need to use the Adobe hooks to ensure this. But yes, I saw the Adobe React hooks for accessibility, and yes, they are nice, and it's a good job, and that's something where I'm trying to aim to. Yeah, yes, it's an amazing start. But if you wanna pick some parts, that's the thing. I think you can just make your component and add the things that you need instead of having everything. But yeah, it's good to have those kind of tools now, and so that means that in the future probably everything's gonna grow. So applications and frameworks are gonna come more accessible, targeted. For example, in the website, I mentioned this a lot, that 1.3 billion people have disabilities globally in the world, and 1 of 5 Europeans have disability. at the moment, and especially with these times that a lot of lockdowns and everything has become so much digital. We wanna make everybody inclusive enough to use the website, and maybe also to provide people to work. So you can have an application where it's accessible enough, where a blind or a visually disabled person can actually use it and work and be productive. Tristan, in the input element node, you don't need to add the minimum max attributes ARIA, because if the input element have it already, yeah, it's enough for the ARIA tags. Yes, indeed. Yes. Yeah, I think we can just finish. That was the presentation. I hope it was informative enough. Yeah, I apologize if it was a little bit slow with the screen reader, but I think I was able to present the concept and the awareness, right? So these little techniques, just presenting the information and titles, and yeah, and creating the awareness from front-end development. Have the people take in consideration that not everybody's using the eyesight and everything. Thank you, everybody. Also, my LinkedIn, you can find me my LinkedIn. You can go into my website and click on the LinkedIn and find me. I will be happy to share any information with anybody. And yeah, have a good day. Ciao.